Hi there, I'm Ronald Spithout, President of Inmarsat's Maritime Business Unit, and with London International Shipping Week approaching fast, I'm here to pose a question. The question is, are we jointly, as a community, doing enough to protect the millions of people who are out there working at sea? I will begin with a success story here, about a family on a sustainability mission. They were collecting plastic out of the Southern Ocean until their sailing boat suffered damage from bad weather. Their sailing boat had very little emergency equipment on board, just an Inmarsat sat phone, with hardly any battery life on it though, which they used to call the Coast Guard. They connected to the Coast Guard, but the sat phone died. So the Coast Guard contacted the Inmarsat safety team, and that safety team leapt into action to track the last known position to the Satellite Network Operations Center here in London, and they were then able to contact the local rescue authorities with real up-to-date information, continue to track and advise the rescue coordination team on how to broadcast an alert relay to any vessels in the vicinity, and, long story short, eventually the whole family were safely rescued, brought to land, 3 adults, a child and even a dog. And this is just one example of how Inmarsat safety team have saved countless lives around the world. Now, Inmarsat is also a leading provider of GMDSS-approved SATCOM services, through which more than 800 distress calls were made in 2020 alone. And GMDSS, as we see it at Inmarsat, is now for over 30 years a combination of satellite technology, terrestrial technology, shipboard radio systems, automatic alerting rescue authorities and nearby vessels when accidents happen. This is a huge comfort to the seafarers when they need it the most, and it's extremely reliable. And yet, despite this all, too many lives are still lost. Now, according to a safety and shipping review by Alliance, 49 large ships were reported lost worldwide in 2020 alone. And in the last 10 years, there were in total about 876 losses. As for the number of lives lost along with these ships, we can only assume there were fatalities, as I have been unable to find any data. In fact, I have not been able to find any insight on the number of lives lost globally, which brings me to the following. Public safety reporting, as we know it, mainly focuses on the damage to ships and cargo, the cost, the impact on the bottom line, while global data on crew welfare, accidents and fatalities is not something that you would find easily. And there is a bias in the way our industry talks about safety too. In public reports that I was able to find, we somehow always seem to refer to people as the human element, which probably provides us some comfortable distance from uncomfortable truths. So how can we ever make further progress if we are not even willing to talk plainly? How can we make progress when we don't even know the scale of the real problem, and that we don't even know the true number of lives lost? In my mind, this is a culture of acceptance that needs to be challenged. I just feel that without any of us willing it, there may be a sort of unconscious acceptance around the manner in which we, as an industry, address safety at sea. Only very recently we see that companies, ship owners, ship managers are slowly changing the way they invest in safety enhancing equipment, technology, training and the likes. And only since there is a growing acceptance that stress factors equals errors equals mistakes and eventually compromises safety in terms of lives and assets, we see that a more structural use of applications and communication systems is getting explored. But on a global scale, that is all going very slow. And the quick and industry-wide learning on this is all probably not helped by the culture of confidentiality where it comes to sharing any data on accidents or in general. So lessons could be learned through transparently sharing of accident data. Knowledge could be real power here, but with no one willing to go first and put their data on the table, improvements are staying slow. In the meantime, the world and the industry has faced a pandemic, which only intensified the dangers of life at sea. As travel and border restrictions set in, ship operators were unable to change over crew, trapping an estimated 500,000 seafarers on board of commercial vessels over much longer than normal periods. Which raises the matter of mental health. Crew with no means to communicate with loved ones suffered severe stress and depression, and there was even a rise in suicides during this period. It is clear to me that the pandemic certainly made things worse for those working at sea. But I don't think it was actually the pandemic that was the real cause here. If anything, the pandemic was just the magnifier glass, or the amplifier, if you will, that only made existing issues more visible. As part of the survey that we did last year, which is called Welfare 2.0, it became clear that for years on a row, long before COVID, crew welfare has suffered a long time structural underinvestment, both in systems as in tools. And with the industry at large classifying these systems as simple cost centers with limited operational benefits, which in fact hampered the drive for improvements. Now I will set my sights a bit higher. With the pandemic showing how important sailors are for the world, I believe it is our collective responsibility to make life for seafarers safer and better. And there are solutions available right now that could make a real difference. So isn't there, in fact, a kind of a moral imperative to use them? I started this story with GMDSS, with very solid and proven technology really doing its job, but also very manual and reactive by nature. If something goes wrong on board, the captain reports the issue to the Coastal Safety Services. Maybe he's contacting the vessel owner or his headquarters. And at the same time, he's trying to stay focused on the issues at hand. All under a high-pressure scenario where every second would count. Now compare this with the next generation technology coming to the market, which would allow a much more proactive paradigm. Not replacing, but in addition to manual activated distress calls, digitally transformed vessels would be able to send automatic alerts to ship owners and rescue services whenever anything, even potentially, appears to go wrong. For instance, when the ship is off course, or listing too much, or suddenly losing power, or systems are stopping, or near misreporting, or any of these other kind of warnings. I'm thinking about wideband technology here. Think about situational awareness, real-time shared with search and rescue. Think about VDR and critical systems offloaded in the cloud in case of an emergency. Think about real-time video for emergency services. Think about drone surveillance, crew members being tracked, cargo status information for environmental agencies, real-time hull integrity, water ingress, fire locations, piracy video. It's endless. In fact, this safety aspect of maritime digital transformation pushes our industry culture in general to evolve quicker as well. Because it's easy to imagine what would happen if we really deploy wideband, modern, cloud-based technology for safety. Moving into a shared and digital responsibility for all the moving parts that together create a safer ship, a safer place to work, and also a safer environment. And what people do not realize often is that benefits beyond safety could be helping to drive the adoption here, like efficiency and emissions monitoring, to mention a few. If chosen well, the same digital connectivity platform that plays a role in the optimization of fleet efficiency and navigation, or in monitoring carbon emissions, or in managing cybersecurity, or to learn from IoT, could be utilized. And in this context, it's no surprise that Fleet Express has been the proof point that provided us further insight for the network of networks concept called Orchestra. This multiple purpose concept would on its turn help to reduce the cost barrier associated with investing in safety. In other words, there is a positive convergence of interest here, business and safety, where I mean both environmental safety and crew safety. This win-win nature of investing in future-proof next-generation technology will certainly drive the adoption in the years to come, which is good news for the seafarers as well. But there is still more that can be done, and that is the mindset. Now, technology is vital, but mindset just plays an as crucial role. Regulations must be modernized, calling for accurate reporting on all the things I just mentioned, including injuries and fatalities globally. The impact on human life and the wider environment, not just on ships and cargo. Think about the possibilities of an anonymized lake of maritime safety data. An analogy with aviation springs to mind, as the airline industry has an absolute zero-tolerance approach to companies refusing to share data that could save lives in the future. Why wouldn't we in maritime? Many large industry stakeholders would absolutely benefit and could even play a role in driving this. In a similar way, where day-to-day economics of a vessel, like day rates or financing costs, are already influenced from various angles if vessels are proven to be more green, I can just imagine that many stakeholders would see a commercial benefit in the proof of increased safety. It would not only be a game changer, it would also save countless lives at sea. Now, it's easy to create a vision for protecting the millions of people at sea, but without setting and agreeing upon targets, things will not change. Not change as fast as they could, at least. We have witnessed how the act of setting emission targets kicked the industry into action. I believe now is the time to set ambitious targets around the human safety and well-being, with at the front end transparent reporting on a global scale, grasping the true nature and scale of the problem and not continue to sidestep it. By just weaving automated proactivity in our safety DNA all around the industry. So to conclude, as nearly everything we touch, interact with on a daily basis is reaching us by the sea. We know that. I believe we all owe it to the seafarers to take better care of them. And we use all our broadband, internet, hard and software technology that we have at our disposal to do just that. London International Shipping Week is historically the epicenter of where all the maritime stakeholders are coming together. Finance, insurance, technology. So in my mind, there's no better place to further explore this topic together. Either in person or virtual at one of our focus sessions on crew welfare, or just via Twitter, email, or any of the other of our social media. I really look forward to these interactions so that at least the pandemic is also the start of something fundamentally better and safer. Thank you.